I'm all for that, yeah. Okay, we're going to move forward. I believe there were additional hand-ups to be placed before the board.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, there was 2 hand-ups. One is for the authorization, the other is calling the public hearing. No, I'm talking about on the transition.
But those are before the board. So now the question is, are there any other subjects hand-ups? I'm led to understand that there are.
Yes, Bruce, you're good, right? You're good? Okay. In light of the disclosure of Camp Anchor, addresses of Camp Anchor families for political purposes, I think it is prudent to update the town's record management process. Mr. Town Attorney, should I read the entire resolution, proposed resolution?
If you want to.
Okay. I think every council member has a copy of it, and the clerk has a copy, Alex. Resolution calling a public hearing on a local law to amend Chapter 20 of the Code of the Town of Hempstead entitled Records Management, and as far as to add a new subsection 20-8-D thereto. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Hempstead is empowered to enact and amend local laws pursuant to Article 9 of the New York State Constitution, the provisions of the town law and the municipal home rule law of the state of New York as amended, and whereas the Town Board of the town is committed to ensuring that the records in its custody are protected from unwarranted invasions of privacy to the fullest extent provided by law. Whereas it is in the public interest to consider the enactment of a local law to amend Chapter 20 of the Code of the Town of Hempstead entitled Records Management, insofar as to add a new subsection 20-8-D thereto, and whereas Councilwoman King Sweeney has introduced a proposed local law known as Intro Number -2017, print number, as aforesaid. Now therefore, be it resolved that a public hearing be held in the Town Meeting Pavilion, Hempstead Town Hall, 1 Washington Street, Village and Town of Hempstead, on the 28th day of November 2017 at 10:30 a.m. in the forenoon of that day, at which time all interested parties shall be heard on the enactment of a local law known as Intro Number -2017, print number, to amend Chapter 20 of the Code of the Town of Hempstead entitled Records Management, insofar as to add a new subsection 20-8-D thereto, and be it further resolved that the town clerk shall give notice of such hearing by the publication thereof in a newspaper of general circulation in the Town of Hempstead, and by the posting of such notice on the bulletin board maintained by her for that purpose in the town hall, not less than 3 nor more than 30 days prior to the date of said hearing. The foregoing resolution was adopted upon roll call as follows.
Second.
Any other hand-ups? So those are the hand-ups. Now, Mr. Town Attorney, I would need your, and obviously where we are procedurally is at the moment we are determining whether or not these are laid before the board. I mean, they are before the board, but whether they're taken up as emergencies, is that correct?
Yes, and procedurally, the board will have to vote whether or not to add these items to the calendar. Before that happens, I'd just like to point out to the board that on the authorization to set aside funds for the transition, $100,000, I believe, there is no comptroller approval on that. So that's certainly an issue. We don't know if we have the $100,000 available. Number 2, these resolutions, all 3 of them, came to me yesterday afternoon. They're quite complex, and they're not. It's not readily apparent that any other municipality, other than the White House, has a transition, an account for the transition of funds. We cannot just take people on without them having, as Senior Councilwoman Gooseby said, we cannot just put people on the payroll without them having gone through the normal process. So there's an issue there. As far as the resolution calling the public hearing,
explain to the public what the normal process is, please.
You make an application, you have, and then if you have an interview, and then you have if you're hired, you have a physical and a drug test. As far as the public resolution calling the public hearing,
to the discretion of the incoming supervisor,
as to whether
obviously
or not
she would make an appointment, then that person would have to be interviewed by who? Who would interview that
Well,
person?
generally, the department head of where they're going. So in your
Okay, so if
situation,
it's the
the
supervisor's
supervisor-elect.
office-
Keep in mind, Councilman.
She
that-
recommended them, obviously she interviewed them, so then they would have to go through a drug test, and what else?
So keep in mind, Supervisor, the term transition team is a political term, not a legal term. The term supervisor-elect is a political term, not a legal term. We don't have anything in our civil service rules to cover those types of positions.
So basically,
all I'm telling you, if I didn't get it less than 24 hours ago, I may have more to say.
Mr. Tanter, if I could just to put some clarity to the matter, then at least as an emergency on an emergency basis, to handle this on an emergency basis, your opinion is, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just not forget
My
the
opinion
merits,
is
not to talk about the merits of any of the proposals, but to handle them on an emergency basis, your opinion is.
My opinion is it may be illegal. It's certainly not ready to be put before the board.
Okay.
Mr. Tanner, can I just ask you a follow-up question? I mean, we're talking about, I guess, the hiring of employees. Can we do it in such a way so that they are consultants, some sort of third-party vendors who are providing services? Because I don't think you have to go through all of those employment processes then.
Well, in the theory of disclosure, yeah, they still would have to apply and go through a process. You don't just put people on.
But is there anything that would achieve this end? It seems that we should be light-footed enough to be able to do something that would achieve this objective.
Well, maybe, but I got them less than 24 hours ago, so I need to look at it.
So you know what? I think we should vote on it, and basically, I do not believe you're correct on the law. I think you're making it up as you go along, and let's vote on it.
All right, so then let's call that we will on that again. Now we are voting not on the merits, but we are voting on whether or not to handle it on an emergency basis. Accordingly, call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
No.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Yes.
Councilman Blakeman.
Yes.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. No. Councilman Dunn.
No.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
Abstain.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Yes.
So then the vote is
Fails 3.
3-3,
3
fails.
and it fails.
okay. Then now on the administrative calendar as published, is there anyone who would like to sever any item on the?
And I have a seven.
Yes,
We've got-
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like.
Oh, hold on. Just
We've got the two others.
okay. So then, on the two other items, I guess.
The same, on the resolution calling the public hearing, the same objection holds true, but just for a different reason. I don't think that we'd have to establish an account called transition account for supervisor-elect. None of those terms are legal terms within the laws of the town of Hempstead. So that's why that resolution calling a public hearing would have to be redone. On the record management resolution, the issue with that is, and if you reach out to me and let me know this is what you want to do, I would have written it differently. You have the town attorney's office reviewing all of the FOIL requests before they go out. The town attorney's office is the appeals officer. Town attorney is the appeals officer, so we can't review them before they go out. So we have to change that around somehow. So that's why that's not ready.
So how do we avoid a situation like happened 2 weeks ago?
Well, I guess what you're saying, Mr. Town Attorney, is that the language has to achieve the councilwoman's end, the language has to be changed in some way.
Right.
Some part of
Either the records access officer has to be changed, or we.
Okay, so let's go back to the
Is
other.
it doable? Yes, it's doable, but it's got to be changed around.
So the second item then was calling the public hearing. We'll have, I guess we have to take three separate votes. So let's on that particular one, call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
No?
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
It's really amazing to me that people on this board choose not to vote to support the privacy of the children and their
We're not-
families.
that's not what we're voting
Yes,
on.
it is.
That's not this item.
Voting
It's
on
not
a
this
public
item.
hearing notice.
It's really amazing. At the end of the day, that's what you're achieving. Yes.
Okay, 3-3. Then on the,
It's
On the
three
last
votes
item-
for, and we need 4, so the measure fails.
okay, so then on the last item, which is the records management aspect, please call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
No.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Yes.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Yes.
Okay, now we go forward to the administrative calendar as printed. Are there any board members who want to sever any items from the administrative calendar as printed?
Yes, I move to.
Supervisor,
Well, one at a time. Let's go. We'll go with, this time I will recognize Councilwoman King Sweeney on the sever. Which ones?
I move to sever items 67, 68, and 69.
Okay.
and
Hold on one second, please. Okay. Yeah, the last three. Okay. Any other member?
Mr. Supervisor, I have questions with regard to 11 and 15 that I may want to sever on those. Can we address those two issues at this time?
Do you want to sever them or not?
Well, I'd like to know, I did not get any backup as to Best LED Group, who they are. So I don't feel
Well,
comfortable
I think-
voting for something.
Then I think it's simpler to just sever them. That's your right, and we can address it as we
Okay,
get to
I
them.
would like to sever 11 and 15.
Number 11 and 15,
Correct.
Central Avenue Park and Valley Stream.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So,
Mr. Supervisor?
yes,
I
Senior
move the
Councilwoman.
administrative calendar in its entirety with the exception of 11, 15, 67, 68, and 69.
Whichever, okay. Now we will call individuals who have asked to speak on administrative items. Deborah Weinrib.
Good morning, Supervisor.
Good morning.
My friends on the board. I'm here on behalf of Nassau County Legislator Howard Capel to speak and to ask this board to extend the moratorium against construction and development on the golf course sites. He asked,
Excuse me, would you tell us which item you're on?
I'm sorry?
Which item?
39, I believe it is.
39? Is that the item you're speaking of, 39?
I believe that's what it is. Let's double check.
I don't know. No. it's
No,
not.
34, pardon me. 34, my mistake. 34, Senior Councilwoman.
Thank you. I just want everybody to be able to follow you. Okay.
Legislator Capel has spoken with many local residents, as a lifelong resident, myself included, who are awaiting the results of studies already underway, which will deal with the impact proposed development of the Woodmere Country Club will have on our neighborhood. Legislator Capel has always taken a strong stance on the issue of traffic congestion, first with his efforts to mitigate traffic on Rockaway Turnpike, and now with the issue of proposed development of the Woodmere Club. Simply, this is not merely an issue of paving paradise and putting up a parking lot. It's an issue of necessary roadways which can't handle the congestion as they currently exist. Evacuation measures have to be considered when you contemplate development of any site. Accordingly, please vote today to extend the moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mario Joseph.
Mr. Supervisor, I would just like to commend Legislator Copel and offer my best wishes to his executive assistant, Debbie, who do a great job in our community. Thank you so much.
Mario Joseph.
Here's 11.
Good morning still, Mr. Joseph.
I may have a problem.
Your name and address to the record, please.
Mario Joseph, 80 Meadow Drive, Pittsburgh, New York, 11590. Good morning.
Good morning.
Here on behalf of myself and my family, but also the Five-Town Civic Association. Firstly, thank you for your past support, extending the moratorium.
Speak more directly into the microphone if you would, Mr. Joseph, sir.
I don't get to do this in court. So thank you very much for your past support in extending the moratorium. It's given everybody an opportunity to consider the impact of the traffic conditions in the five towns, the impact on first responders having to get from point A to point B, not even point Z, and taking 20 to 30 minutes to get there. So we know that your concerns track hours with the flooding and the traffic, the absence of emergency evacuation routes. I want to say it's a foregone conclusion that the moratorium is going to be extended because there's a contract that effectively requires the developers that purchased the 100 acres of the Woodmere Club to maintain it as a golf course for another 4 years. But there are no guarantees. And I think it would be appropriate to extend that moratorium. There are people here from the five towns that are not just concerned about the traffic in a vacuum. They have elderly family members in the community. They're concerned about what would happen in the event of an emergency. They're concerned about the value of their homes. If you add another 300 to 600 cars, I imagine people coming for open houses won't appreciate being stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic. But adding another 300 homes, even 100 homes to the market, flooding the market with brand new homes, whether it be on 60 by 100 lots or even an acre, is going to dramatically impact the community. Not everybody lives on 60 by 100 lots of land. There are people already that live on half acres. But the fact of the matter is that as it is right now, our market is strong. The real estate market is reasonably strong, notwithstanding what happened during Hurricane Sandy. I live in Woodsburg. There were yachts that were washed up on people's front yards. The 100 acres across the street from my home were, I'll call it effectively, a sponge. The water receded into the ground. If you cover that 100 acres in concrete, even if you get promises about infrastructure being built, the reality is you're losing 100 acres of grass, 100 acres of what amounts to be a sponge. The federal government has its migratory bird policies. I've been before this council before. I've admitted that I'm not a tree hugger. I don't particularly go out of my way to love birds. But I can tell you that there are people out there that very much enjoy what these migratory birds add to the community. Personally, I like the green space. I also like the value of my home being maintained. I also enjoy being able to get from point A to point B in a reasonable period of time, even if that means 15, 20 minutes. In short, again, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion. Thank you for your support in the past, and I do hope that the moratorium is extended.
Well, Mr. Joseph, I think that over the past year or year and a half, perhaps Councilman Blakeman and I don't agree on everything, but one thing that we do agree is to stand behind the residents and our neighbors in the five towns. And I think that I could speak for him in saying that we will continue to do that.
And I would like to also echo that Councilman D'Esposito and I are lockstep in trying to ameliorate any issues that would come up with respect to the environment, traffic, overcrowding, things like that. So as I indicated before, there is a study that the town impaneled. We should have those results very shortly, and they will make recommendations, and we will have a public hearing in our community for public input at that time.
If I may, very briefly, there are two other studies that we're waiting for. One is from the Army Corps of Engineers. That's projected out to be approximately a year down the road. And the governor's office as well, I think, in furtherance of New York Rising. That report is also, rather that study is also awaited.
Maybe with the Army Corps of Engineers, we could speak to our conservation and waterways. Perhaps they could give a hand in expediting it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tamara Weinrib? Yes, Senior Counsel.
What I would like to say is this. I really support both of you. This is one time I really support you entirely with that. But I'm doing that because I know what the difference it makes when you put too many houses in one area, too many. Like here in the village of Hempstead, with everybody coming to make extra money and putting all these homes, and other folk are coming in and saying we need more apartment buildings. We don't have space for what we have. So I understand what he's going through, and I wish him the best.
Okay. Thank you, Senior Councilwoman. Tamar Weinrib.
Good morning, Council. My name is Tamar Weinrib.
Hi.
I'm a longtime resident of the Five Towns.
Could you, just your address for the record, please? Your address.
My address is 1050 Links Road in Woodmere.
Thank you.
And I'm also here to show support for the extension of the moratorium. I share the concerns of those who preceded me. The concerns are not just with regard to traffic, though those are massive concerns with regard to Rockaway Turnpike and Broadway, which are highly congested as it is, and also with regard to environmental concerns. I'm not just a resident, but I'm a parent of 3 small children, with another one hopefully not to arrive today. I'll try my best. And we, strongly oppose the development of the Woodmere Club, as it will tremendously affect the neighborhood in multiple ways. And as was mentioned again by those who preceded me, concerns that are not just hypothetical but real in light of major events that have happened in the past, including Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Irene, where evacuation was a real possibility. And there were strong environmental effects post both hurricanes, where there were, fish on people's lawns and people flooded out of their homes. And developing that property will only exacerbate those conditions, make it difficult for people to evacuate in the event of an emergency, and just create issues that the residents of the 5 towns shouldn't have to deal with. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Simone Ambalo. Simone. Is Simone Ambalo here? Nope. Okay. Paul Brugger. Pearl Brugger. Your good morning still, I think. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. Pearl Brugger, 4 Rose Street, Cedarhurst, New York. I'm here. First of all, thank you for all your past support. I know many of you, most of you are on our side regarding the issues at hand. I encourage you to continue to vote for the moratorium. And also, during this period of time, we need to come up with alternative solutions that will be of benefit to the community and improve it rather than harm it. Again, environmentally, it's very critical. I've heard Governor Cuomo speak to the importance of maintaining open green spaces in Long Island, and this is just another example of a space that needs to be preserved in that way. I thank you for your future support. I don't need to repeat what has been said before. I obviously agree with all that has been said before, and thank you again in advance for continuing to support us.
Thank you. Tamar Pusner. Tamar Pusner. Okay, anyone else on the golf course only? Come up, sir.
I'm delighted. First, I'm Asher Mattathias, J. Mattathias, 312 Longacre Avenue. First, to congratulate the incoming administration, and to also, as I tell my undergraduates, to thank those who served us. So thank you very much, Supervisor Santino.
Very welcome. And again, you are on the administrative part.
Yes.
Pardon me, on the miscellaneous part. So if we can limit your comments here to the golf course.
A resident of Woodmere, and the grandfather of 2 of 7 grandchildren, who 2 of whom attend Brandeis in Lawrence. I frequently am called, and my wife Anna, whose birthday is today, by the way, to pick them up and to travel along Broadway to East Rockaway, Emmett Avenue, and it takes sometimes exceedingly a long time to traverse the area. So I salute Bruce Blakeman. I salute those. Certainly, Howard Coppell has even come to my classroom at St. John's University. I applaud their continued interest in this subject and the delay that must necessarily be affected until we decide the proper disposition of the property. Thank you very much.
Okay. On the administrative calendar, Mary Ellen Cray.
As she's making her way forward, I just wanted to mention that I served with Howard Coppell for quite some time in the legislature, and he does his homework, and I concur with his findings on that, too. So he's
Thank you very much. Ms. Cray, your name and address for the record, please.
Mary Ellen Cray, 436 Locust Avenue, Uniondale. On item 4, you can see there is such a crash of the homes in this area, and I would urge you to work with the Uniondale Community Land Trust to effect rehabilitation of these homes in Uniondale and be able to have them available for residents again.
Mrs. McCray, we have worked very hard with your land trust group, and they're doing very well. We've done all that we can. Now they have to follow the guidelines of the county.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're in the process of buying our first home this week.
All right.
On item 31, just out of curiosity, what is this about soil borings and the naval facilities?
Okay.
31.
That would be, is Commissioner Reinhardt here? Water Department? Yep. Commissioner, come on up. It's a Water Department matter.
Yes, good morning, Supervisor. This is an agreement between the town and the United States Navy to continue the soil borings related to the Grumman plume throughout Levittown and Bethpage. There's 3 locations.
Of that, sir?
Okay.
So that she
It's to continue the efforts that Grumman and the Department of Defense have been undertaking to better understand the extent of the plume, come up with proper locations for treatment of the plume, come up with total delineation of the edges of the plume, the concentrations of various chemicals within the plume. It's all part of an ongoing study that's been going on for over 20 years now. They're getting towards a final point of putting in treatment. A couple of these sites are very specific to that location.
if I can ask a question.
Yep, go ahead, please, Councilman.
So you bore holes and you see if it's getting more intense, it shows the plume is moving. If it's getting less, it means it's moving in a different direction.
Yeah, the type of work they're doing is it's called vertical profile boring. You drill a hole down, you sample every 10 feet through the depth of the aquifer. You get the concentrations at various levels. It gives you a vertical profile of the plume rather than just the width of the plume. You know exactly how deep it is, and that helps you, A, set future treatment areas, and B, better understand how it affects public supply wells in the area.
And could I get a copy of the results of that monthly or however often you do the testing?
We get the results quarterly. They share it with all the districts.
And then you'll get a copy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
On item 42, I urge you to work with the Uniondale Workforce Initiative, which has funding in order to develop employment for our residents, and especially our young people. On item 55, the Uniondale Water District with Hofstra University, do they have a water?
Commissioner Reinhardt, you want to come on back here? And busy day for you. I can give Ms. Cray and the residents an explanation.
Hello again. The agreement on item number 55 is an agreement between the town of Hempstead and Hofstra University. It's a hold harmless agreement. Hofstra University recently doing a fire pre-plan study determined that they needed additional hydrants within the area to provide the proper amount of fire protection for the loads on their campus. They want to add additional hydrants on California Avenue within the town of Hempstead, Uniondale Water District, while the campus is actually within the village of Hempstead Water District. So accordingly, because the hydrants are being added in the town area for the village protection, we insisted on a hold harmless agreement. In addition, Hofstra is paying for all the expenses related to the installation and restoration to do so.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Cray, anything else?
Yes.
Might as well stay there. You never know.
No, I was just noticing the handicap parking on Goodrich and Lawrence Street. Now, on item 60, in Uniondale, the parking or standing prohibitions, where in Uniondale, please?
Okay, Mr. Traffic Control, Mr. Reed, yes, sir. Item number 60, the parking restrictions, calling the public hearing, parking restrictions, Uniondale. All right, would you get back to Ms. Craig? Because again, we're only calling the public hearing today. It'll be on the next calendar. So please communicate with Ms. Craig in advance of that so she's fully aware. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Felix Procacci.
Felix Procacci, 1165 Barn Street, Franklin Square, New York. I don't recall, was 67 through 69 severed?
Yep.
So there's not a discussion anymore. Okay. On the calendar for the hires, I see that Terrence Murray is brother of Kate Murray, is getting an increase of promotion. I recently saw there's other people getting promotions and increases that are not union increases. There was a statement made by somebody earlier that there was not enough money for something, to do something. But there's always money to give these high-profile people, connected people, raises. But there's not money to do necessary things, like tearing down that house for that lady or doing the extermination. So that's very troubling, and this has been a pattern since I've been here where I've listened to all of you, in concert, there's not money for this, there's not money for that, but there's always money for another mailing, there's always money to give somebody a raise. And, I oppose all the increases that are being given to all the people on the calendar today for those that are not contractual, that you're giving a promotion that's discretionary, because it's unwarranted. I mean, the guy's making $129,000 now to manage a park. It's absolutely absurd, and to say you're fiscally responsible is ridiculous. And I wish this would stop since you were leaving. The right thing to do is to kick this can down the road like you've done a lot of other things, and let the next administration decide whether these people are worthy of these promotions that, from the salaries and what they do is unwarranted. Thank you.
Okay. I do understand that there were a couple of folks who may have been outside when I called their names who want to talk about the Woodmere Club. So if you raise your hand, okay, either one, whoever wants to go first, come on up, choose among yourselves, and we'd be more than happy to hear from you. Good. Now I could say good afternoon. Good afternoon. And your name and address for the record, please.
Simone Umbalo, 24 Oak Street in Woodmere, New York.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. I'm so against this.
Could you just move that microphone closer to you, if you would?
I moved.
It's got to be a lot closer. I'm sorry. It's.
Good.
Yeah, I think that makes it. Okay.
I moved to the neighborhood about 15 years ago from Queens, Forest Hills, Queens. And one of the reasons why I moved to the neighborhood to Woodmere was because of the greenery and the standard of living. I live right off of Broadway, very close to where the golf course is. And even now, there's a lot of traffic on the streets. You know, I think that it's a plan to build something like 300 or 600 additional houses. We call it the sixth town. I mean, how are they going to have a sixth town there? How are you going to fit? How are they going to fit all the people? What about traffic? You know, what about the kids? What about firefighters and policemen? And how are they going to, you know, work that whole thing there? That's all.
Okay, so you are for the moratorium, continuing moratorium. Very good. Thank you so much. And yes, ma'am, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Tamar Pesner. I live at 23 Waverly Place, and it's off Broadway as well. I've lived there for over 15, 16 years, and we've seen the community shift and evolve, and lots more families are moving in with more kids, and it's become a more Orthodox community, and the individuals that would be moving into the neighborhood would also be Orthodox Jews, which have an average about three to four kids. And right now, I live on Broadway. I have my kids commute to a school that's 2 miles away, and it takes them, I have a 7-year-old boy who gets on a bus at 7:30 in the morning, and it takes him an hour to get to school, which is really a 5-minute drive. And Broadway in the morning is so congested that, you know, if you look at your cell phone on Waze, you'll see that red line, 5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour to get down that mile stretch that is the 5 towns. If these 300 homes or 600 homes that are proposed to be built are actually allowed to be built, each family would have about 3 to 4 kids commuting to school. Just a simple issue I'm addressing to really realize the impact just on one subject. 300 kids, 300 families, or 600 homes times 3 is 900, another 1,000 kids driving to school on this one road, which is the only artery. There's Broadway, there's Central Avenue, and those are the 2 ways to traverse from one end of the 5 towns to the other. If another 1,000 kids have to go to school, my kids' ride and everyone else's in the community would really be affected. That's just one issue. Aside from the fact that all the green spaces in the community and all over are disappearing. And I don't know why we would have to give up the only green space that is left in the 5 towns. It would be such a detrimental effect to all the community members. We live in Long Island because we want those suburban lifestyle, and that would really, in essence, disappear with this additional homes. In addition to that, there was such a catastrophe in this particular part of town when we had Sandy, and the likelihood of flooding is a real threat with the changes in the weather system. I'm not going to call it global warming, but I'm just going to say that the chance that that could happen again is significant. And we went back to a first world country those 2-3 months where we had no infrastructure, people had no heat in their homes, they had fish floating around in their basements, and I don't know what the building of an additional 600 homes would create with regards to flooding. You know, if you do your research, you'll find out that the 5 towns is built on like marshland. So the likelihood that flooding could increase, which is a real threat to the entire community with the advent of these homes being built and the infrastructure and the challenges to the sewer systems, to the electricity that's in the neighborhood, that's all outside and exposed. You know, I hope that you'll continue the moratorium and really, really look at this with an eagle eye and not destroy a lovely community that is already bursting at the seams. Traffic within the parking spaces, the public spaces that are currently there, are filled to the max. Recently, a person was killed in one of those parking lots. There's just no place to park your car. The quality of life has already gone down significantly because there's so many people with so little resources. We cannot afford to have another 600 homes with another 1,000 or 2,000 people moving into a very tiny enclave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else on the Woodmere Club? I thought there were two that said, okay, fine. All right, moving forward on the items that have not been severed, Donna Casaza, pardon me. Your name and address for the record, please.
Donna Casaza, Rockville Center, New York. Just want to say one thing with respect to the transition funds.
Well, that's not on the item at the moment. Now, we're going to hold directly to the calendar.
After defeat, you just
So
don't know how
we're going to hold directly to maintain good order. Item number 52 is what you signed in on.
52. Can someone tell me, where's the town attorney, tell me the date this resolution was published in what we deem to be the Long Island Press?
Ms.
The Long Island Press, I think most non-business
Ms.
owners
Kateva?
don't get it.
Ms. Kadeva, if you come forward, do we know that offhand?
The question is on 52, I'd like to know when that resolution was noticed. I'll assume it was in the Long Island Press. I can't check independently.
Number 52?
Yes, your CSEA association agreement. And again, as I say, I'm not talking about the merits of the issue, I'm talking about the procedure.
No, the calendar was posted on last Thursday afternoon.
No.
The question, I think, is when was the notice published?
This is an administrative item. It's an administrative resolution.
So
It's
none
not-
of these
it's not
have to
published.
be, so none of these have to be published?
Not the administrative calendar.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, thanks.
Well, thank you very much. Valerie Lamp. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Valerie Lamp, Baldwin, New York.
And you wanted to speak on item number 40.
Yes, that's correct. And I left my notes back there, but okay, I think I got it. This resolution with regards to the web hosting for the Lido Golf website, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. I'm hoping somebody might answer. Why or what is the process in terms of determining which marketing company to use? And I'd also like to know how much money is being allocated for this web hosting agreement.
Okay, we have representatives from the Parks Department. That falls under their jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Counselor, if you'd just your name so everyone knows who's addressing them.
Phil Brookmeyer, counsel to the Commissioner of the Parks Department. So this agreement involves the website www.leodgolf.com. The Rob West Company owns this website and previously operated it on behalf of the previous operator of the golf course, Double Eagle Golf. When the town of Hempstead took over the operation of the golf course in June, we started to get some feedback from the golfing community that utilizes Lido Golf Club that they were missing this site because the site went down after the town took over the ownership, and rather the operation of the golf club. So in response to some of the feedback that we received, we decided to enter into, if the town board approves, this web hosting agreement so that we can maintain the www.lidogolf.com website.
So you're saying that if you don't go forward with the hosting contract to the existing website developer, that the website would be taken down?
Correct.
Okay, so what I'm also interested in knowing, because I believe this company is located in Texas, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. There are a lot of people, digital marketing agencies located in Long Island, in Nassau County and within the town of Hempstead, many of whom are constituents and very qualified to do something as simple as web hosting, which is the most basic of services and very universal. I'm curious to know as to why we wouldn't perhaps entertain Long Island small business owners right here in our backyard who need the business and deserve the business.
Yeah, it's because the actual name www.lidogolf.com would not be available to those local web hosting companies that you're referencing. So we want
Who owns it?
The Rob West Company owns the intellectual property rights associated with that name.
Okay, so the bottom line is it's a simple fix. I mean, I work with, all you have to do is just get a little creative, and you could actually get a website called lidogolfcourse.com or lidogolf.li. I mean, shouldn't we try to keep business within our own communities? I know I can name 5 digital marketing agencies within this township who are very qualified, and I'm not favoring one over the other, but many of these people also went through Sandy. They live in Lido, they live in Long Beach, they live on the South Shore. Their houses are lifted, or it took them years to get back on their feet. They're good people, they're part of chambers of commerces. Isn't this where the business should go?
How much is the contract value?
It's $1,100 for the first year.
Okay, and then the website also?
No, that's all inclusive.
So that includes the $1,100 for a year. Okay, I pay $60 a quarter for my website hosting, and I'm not going to say it's apples to apples. I haven't seen this particular website, but at the very least, shouldn't we let them compete for it?
I have a question related to this that's kind of general. So we took over the golf course at the beginning of the golf season, and now we're at the end. Did the golf course break even, make money, or did we lose money this year?
Well, I mean, that is obviously an answer that we can get you from the council. We can get you from the Parks Commissioner, but it's not on the item on the calendar right now. So, Ms. Lamp, I mean, your comments are duly noted and appreciated, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I still have 2 minutes and 18 seconds. And my other concern is I would just like to point out that I believe that Double Eagle, since you brought it up, is currently in litigation with the town of Hempstead. Is that correct, Mr. Ra? Yes. Okay. Well, maybe it might behoove the town in general to not entertain these contracts until at least there's some kind of decision with regards to a $1.5 million lawsuit.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome.
Okay. Lucille DeFina. Ms. DeFina.
As Lucille is coming up, I just want to concur with our last speaker that contracts should be first attempted to get the Long Island contractors rather than going off the island to other people. We got to put food on the table here in our hometown.
Thank you.
If I could add as well, thank you, Councilman Dunn. I appreciate that. And the other idea maybe we could do is reach out to some students at the local universities like a Malloy or something like that. We partnered with them with the Baldwin Chamber of Commerce to do some really neat e-commerce things. So just another idea.
Okay, Ms. DeFina, go ahead, please. Your name and...
Lucille DeFina Marek. Along with doing what you both mentioned, I wonder if we can get back some jobs for the poor people that have been let go, that worked for the town for many, many years and came up here and pleaded with you, Mr. Santino, to please not let them go. They had a wonderful record. They never did anything wrong. They never got promoted. They never got raises, all because they weren't connected. So maybe those people who have come here and spoken during the year can come back, because you're definitely giving other people raises, and that's what is most concerning here, and I think that's the reason why you will no longer be here at the end of this year, because it was blatant and very obvious. So I am here to speak about item 58, because in that category it says amending various positions and occupations, and that always worries me. And, you know, it's really hard to figure out what in the world does that mean. But thank God we've learned to really navigate through the details of these resolutions to try to find out a little bit more. One of the things here, and of course the animal shelter will remain to be the thing that I focus on, but we all know it's going on rampant throughout the town. But in the animal shelter, it says amendment of, who is this person? Gosh, I can't even see the name. The print is so small. But, okay, reassigning Kenneth Morrison. He's going into the position of maintenance mechanic. Now, we just discussed this position at the budget meeting where all of a sudden a maintenance man, a handyman making $86,000 appeared on the animal shelter payroll that was never needed before. And when we questioned that, I was told how needed this was. Well, it seems now suddenly he's leaving, Dennis McDonald being reassigned, and then there's a name of Kenneth Morrison. Could you explain to me what's going on with this $86,000?
Those are departmental recommendations.
Okay, but this is a position, again, that was never at the animal shelter. It's $86,000 for a handyman. And so this person who's been there for however long, few months or whatever, is now leaving and a new person is coming on? Is that what this is about? If I say so?
It is the departmental recommendation.
Okay, again, who makes these decisions? You know, is this Michael Pastore is making these decisions, or is it the layer that we've had to deal with for so many years? I mean, what is really going on here? Also, what is this about a Kathleen Malone? Well, that certainly catches my eye. Charles Malone was the previous director of the shelter before Cindy. When you talk about that layer, during the time when everybody was making six figures and had no qualifications or experience, Kathleen Malone, is this his wife? She's getting a raise from 86. Well, what was she making, and what is she getting a raise to? You know, why are these things being done? Why is this so important before Supervisor Santino leaves to make sure this goes through right now?
These are departmental recommendations. That's
Again,
what the person
department,
on
okay, so this person,
recommendations.
I really hope, one of the things that was very telling is within the first couple of months, I think maybe the first month that Supervisor Santino came in, the Beauvays at the animal shelter Debbie Beauvais was given a raise and a new position, and meanwhile she was being written up all over the place for kicking a dog and all sorts of problems that was going on. So that was very telling, and even though some people had great hopes in Supervisor Santino being legit in his promises, that scared me when Debbie Beauvais was given. You're talking about a couple who makes
Thank you very much, Ms. DeFina. Diane Madden, please. Next speaker. Diane Madden, is Diane Madden coming to the microphone? Name, please, for the record.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. I'll finish up that with more on item number 58, I believe.
Okay.
a Mr. Anthony Costals is being given a promotion, I believe, from where? He is now a special investigator. So is that correct?
Yes.
And what position did he hold?
Well, he's a special investigator. He's getting an increase, I believe.
But hasn't he been a special investigator in that department?
Yes, I believe he's getting an increase, right? He's going part-time to full-time.
Oh, okay. You know what? We're going to actually be able to handle all the internal investigations from here. So the fact that you are giving people, and that this is nothing personal against Mr. Costals. In fact, he's been nothing but a gentleman, and he actually has a current investigation about Michael Pistori underway. But I think it's disingenuous to start promoting people a few weeks before the end of the year. You also have a chief investigator, correct?
Correct.
Which would be? You have one chief investigator?
Correct.
Okay. And what happens to all of Mr. Casal's current investigations?
I don't understand.
Will he continue to be in charge of? Okay. Kenneth Morrison, he is what, moving into this position, this mechanical, or rather maintenance mechanic position into the animal shelter?
I believe so. I don't know if I think that's accurate, but I don't know specifically if anybody from the animal shelters here could answer that.
Well, you have a
But I
director
believe
we're
that that's
paying
true.
$109,000 from the animal shelter that's never had to answer a single question publicly.
I believe that that's true.
Okay, so one is going out, one is coming in. Who made the request?
It's a departmental request.
And who does that?
The department.
The department. It's just incredible to me that you've always wanted to define people that you go after by name. You know who their names are. But when you're asked who is making these recommendations, it's departmental. Ms. Kenneth Morrison, how long has he been with the town?
I do not know.
Do you know if there's a resume that he has submitted?
He submitted a resume when he was first hired.
Back in?
I don't know.
You don't know, but you know he submitted a resume, but you don't know when. Yesterday, 10 years ago?
Because everybody fills out an application with a resume.
Okay.
Generally.
With regards to Shari Hockhauser, that's from name is familiar, someone that was hired when we were having protests and a New York State audit, and Kate Murray came out with her. Well, it was actually our settlement, the pet care agenda. What is happening with this position? Why is this coming in front of the board?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Shari Hockhauser. Well, I'm wondering why is this resolution coming before the board? She's been there since, I believe, 2011. I'm asking
I don't have
because
the personnel calendar in front of me, so if you tell me why is she on the calendar? Is that what you're asking?
Right. Why it says here that there is an incorrect effective date.
Okay, so it's correcting an error, I assume.
So an error from 2011? Because it would appear that you're going into all of these departments and cleaning up those that you're looking to protect the most. And you came up upon your own mistake. That's what it would appear.
Give him a minute to find it. Shari Hockhauser.
Shari Hockhauser, apparently it was a typographical error with regard to the effective date of the change on a resolution, I'm guessing from July of 17.
From July of 17, a previous resolution.
It's a correction, it's a clerical error in the resolution.
What was the error?
Apparently, it had the incorrect effective date of the personnel action that was accomplished at that time.
So has her title been changed? I believe she's a community research assistant.
Not a title change.
So it's just a correction to the 17. I think that is actually it for item number 58. And I have to comment on number 40. I agree, this should not go through at this time about the Lido Beach with litigation against the town. I'm told that Santino took over this golf course that was being maintained by a private company because golf courses tend to raise a lot of money for political figures. So the fact that you just assume that this golf course is not going back to the gentleman that was doing a remarkable job and poured a lot of his own finances into rehabilitating it after Sandy is a little concerning. I mean, it's still our money that you're spending up until January 1st.
Thank you very much. Rory Gordon.
Rory Gordon, Hog, New York. I would just like to educate myself, number 32, on the two pumper trucks. Are you replacing two pumper trucks, or are you adding two pumper trucks?
Replacing.
What happens to the old ones?
The old ones are either sold as used trucks or sold for scrap, depending on what the condition is.
And where are they sold?
Where are they sold?
Yeah, I mean,
there's an auction. It's advertised, and the Merrick Fire Department handles that.
Okay, so they're sold for scrap, and generally,
or if they still have useful life to them, they're sold as used trucks.
Okay, so I suppose we would have to FOIL to find out how many trucks were used, were scrapped. I mean, I don't understand. Fire trucks don't get a lot of mileage on them. And
These fire trucks, my recollection is these fire.
Stop the clock, please.
These passed a while ago. This is just a bond resolution to authorize the money. These two pumper trucks are replacing pumper trucks that are very old.
When you say very old, how old is very old?
I don't specifically know. I don't know if there's anyone from Merrick Fire Department here today. They're probably not. But we can get you the information.
We do. Actually, we do have, would you mind, Mr. Fabian, if you want to just illuminate? Come on up if you would, yeah, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Fabian, just your name and your position for the record so everyone knows.
John Fabian, I'm a ex-chief Merrick Fire Department, 43-year member of Friendship Engine and Hose, and currently on the board of directors.
So the question was, how old are the trucks that are being replaced?
One pumper's a 1990, second pumper's a 1992.
May I ask a question?
You can ask through me, absolutely, sure.
What's the mileage on the trucks?
Well, I don't think my knowledge of fire trucks, which is fairly extensive after all of these years, it's not the mileage, it's the hours of operation, among other things, correct?
Yes. And it's also a standard on years of life for apparatus through the NFPA, which is, I think, currently 18 years on a pumper.
Okay, and generally speaking, do they scrap them or do they sell them?
Excuse me, depending on the year of the truck, if we can find somebody that will purchase them, they'll purchase them. Usually in 1990, 1992 is somewhere maybe $5,000, if that. We're limited in size of our trucks, so because of our current building, the water gallonage on the pumper is 500 gallons that we carry on each truck. And if they need to be sold down south, that's where they usually go. 500 gallons of water is not sufficient for them. They look for 750 gallons and above.
I'm just trying to get an education because I see them for sale on eBay, and I was thinking of buying one, and I see that all the fire departments across the country, they sell them. They go to third world countries, they go somewhere.
In my current position where I work in another fire district, I have been involved in selling trucks, and I can tell you that I have a pumper down in Vietnam, and I have one in Chile. So they do go outside the country, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I just want to know that at least we're getting some money back. Okay, thank you. I'm good with this gentleman.
Ms. Fabian, thank you very much.
Okay, number 33.
Thank you for your information.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. Number 33, how do you folks make a decision as to when the zoning board decides on a project and the town board decides on a project? Mr. Ra?
No, Ms. Town Attorney, if you would answer the question.
Can you stop the clock? Thank you.
It has to do with the nature of the application. If they need a rezoning, they come to the town board. If it's a gasoline service station, it comes to the town board. If you need a variance from your zoning restrictions, you go to Board of Zoning Appeals. There are 2 large books that detail all of the differences.
Where do you find those books?
The town code and the building zone ordinance are both online.
Okay. Do you know where? I'd just like to read it, just so I'm educated. Where is it on the town code? Do you have any idea?
Where is it?
Yeah,
well, first of all, you want the thing you'd probably want to look at is the building zone ordinance of the town of Hempstead. That contains most of the information that you would need.
Okay, thank you. Number 37, was this the only engineering consulting service that was considered for this?
Commissioner Pritchard, do you want to come on up? It's our sanitation commissioner, because this matter falls under the Department of Sanitation.
Ken Pritchard, Commissioner of Sanitation. Yes, it was the only firm considered for this. We talked to them extensively about their prior history of successfully petitioning the DEC for these monitoring reductions, and they've been successful in at least 6 municipalities.
Why doesn't this go out for a bid?
It's professional services. Doesn't have to be bid.
So if somebody that's politically connected, that they have that opportunity to get this job, is that where we're at with this?
Someone who's professionally competent.
And who makes that decision?
I made that decision.
And then you pass that decision along to Joe?
No.
You pass that on to the town board, correct, Commissioner?
Okay, it just doesn't seem logical to me that you only got one person, one company, that's it.
In the case of professional services, there's special knowledge required and expertise. It's not a commodity that can be bid for the cheapest dollar.
Is there only one company that does this?
I feel this is the best company to do this.
I bet you do. Do you have an appointed position?
Yes, I do.
Okay, just curious. I don't know much about, actually, I don't know you. Nice to meet you. Okay, thanks. That's all I wanted to know, okay, on that. And the last thing is this fellow here, Gennaro Cisanano, I don't know how you say it, for the civil service thing, is he on salary or is it like he does it gratis?
No, I believe the Civil Service Committee, it's not a salary position. I believe it's
Is
for
it
small per
$200 a
diem.
meeting, something like that?
It's very small per diem.
$5,000 a year.
Okay, because it's not on here. It doesn't say that. It's just saying that he's getting the job, and that's it. Doesn't. I think we should know that we're paying somebody $5,000 a year, and how did he get that job?
It's
Civil Service Commission had vacancies, and the civil service, the remaining members and the civil service director would have taken resumes in, and he was picked. Once again, it's a departmental recommendation.
Okay. I want to go back to what I think it was Diane was talking about, Anthony Costales as special investigator. It reads here that he's getting an appointment. Can somebody please be specific? Did he have a job prior to this?
He was a part-time employee. He's going to full-time status.
Okay, and what was his part-time salary? He's talking. I'm waiting for an answer. Can you please stop the clock?
As a part-timer, he was not salaried. He had an hourly rate, was it $20? $20 an hour? So his hourly rate was $20 an hour, and now he's being hired full-time.
Okay, and this is an appointed position, that's correct?
Correct.
Okay, and, wait, there was one other one. Tiffany, she's going to be appointed as a clerk. Is she already an employee?
Yes, she's part-time.
Okay, and Ralph Moravello, he's appointed code enforcement? Is he a new employee?
Yeah, he's a new employee? Yes, he's a new employee.
Why does it say October 16, 2017? How does that work calendar-wise? He's already in the job.
Is it retroactive too? Is that what it is? He started work October 16th.
But how do you start the job before you get the appointment?
Under the law, we can do retroactive. We can appoint and do a retroactive resolution.
Okay, can we expect next month or next meeting to see a lot more appointments?
If I could tell the future, I'd be at Belmont today.
Yes, I can tell your future for sure. Okay.
Really?
Thank you.
You think so, huh?
Okay. With the exception of the items that have been severed, which number, ma'am? Okay, hold on a second. Oh, come on up. All right. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emerence Funderburg. I reside at 139 East Clinton Avenue, Roosevelt, New York. Basically, I just want to say congratulations to you, Dorothy Gooseby. I'm glad. And Mr. Centino, you've always been helpful with my community. I've come to problems. So, I thank you.
Thank you. On 58.
Excuse me, you had your turn to speak. Now it's my turn.
Okay.
So, for 58, I was concerned about some of the positions.
Yep.
And I, too, did research. I was really concerned. My research was really centered around the animal shelter. So I did do the research, and I wanted to find out who is going to be hired and things of that nature, because I have a different take on the animal shelter. And that's just, I live in a community, which is a minority community. And friends and family, friends of mine, we've talked about the animal shelter because my husband works at the JD Center, Juvenile Detention Center, and he urged me to go over to the animal shelter to adopt a dog. I lost my dog. And I went there with the anticipation of coming home with a little dog. I wanted a toy dog. But I was met with something different. So when I'm listening to everyone speak this morning, and I'm looking at, because the reason why I researched, because I wanted to see how we can remove some of the people there. But at the same token, I spoke with Mr. Pastore, because when I went in, I asked for a dog. No one else had even thought about the dog. I was the first person on the list. I also went to North Shore Animal League, and the process was a little different. And the process at the Animal League is flawed. I walked in, and I guess you can see I am African American. When I walked in, I looked at the dog. They brought me in and asked me for an interview, which I did come back for the interview. Not only did I come back, I brought everyone in my household to come back, because that's one of the processes. And we sat down. We were there for an hour. My husband, myself, my son unfortunately couldn't make it because he's away at college. We sat there for an hour with this pet, which I thought at the end of the interview that I would be called. Well, seamlessly, I called and called and never got a call back. And then I finally got very angry, called over to Mrs. Santino's office and Ms. Goosby's office complaining that I have not received a call. But then I did get a call. And the call said I was not selected because I couldn't be a good pet owner because I had not taken, I guess, my dog to the doctor every year for a checkup. Now, my dog lived to be 17 years old. We always take our dog to the doctor if there's a problem or something of that nature, but not every year. So I asked, I said, my goodness, if everybody took their dog to the pet, and listen, I'm honest, I don't think we all go to the doctor every year as humans, and I know that taking the dog every year shouldn't be a prerequisite, but I succeeded, and I said, okay, well, what are we going to do now? So Mr. Pastori did call me, and he says, I apologize for that. He said, please come back in, see the dog. No one has adopted the dog at this moment. I came back. They told me the dog had been adopted. So I was really upset. I said, this running around is crazy. And this is where the issue comes for me. When we walk into a facility, we're looked at as a person. They went through my entire application, where I lived, how long I lived there, how many people in my household. And then they started saying to me, well, you can't be a good pet owner because, you didn't take your dog to the doctor all the time. And then how many people in your community? I mean, we went through this list, and I started to feel like, ugly head of racism started to come to the forefront, because at the end of the day, it had nothing to do with me as a person. And that's a flawed system. When people come into the animal shelter, they should be allowed, to put in an application. If no one else wants the dog, you do a basic follow-through. At the end of the day, you want to find homes for these animals. Am I correct? I mean, that would be what we're looking forward to do. Find a home. Not based on my color, not based on my creed, and not based on where I come from. Just because I live in Roosevelt does not mean that I cannot be a good pet owner. Because I am. I own a children's foundation. I've lived in Roosevelt for 50 years. I'm an advocate. I have been elected to the Roosevelt Library Board, served 5 years. And you mean to tell me that I cannot be a pet owner? So when I look at these appointments and things of that nature, I'm asking you, look at the system over at the animal shelter. Look and see how it's run. And make sure that when people come there, we all can go home with a pet, not just people they think in their mind.
Thank
be a good
you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Then on the administrative calendar. Thank you. Your name and address of the record, please.
Rita J. Merriday, Baldwin resident. Born and raised in Roosevelt, by the way. So my concerns have to do with a couple of things, so I will move forward because I don't have the 5 or 6 or 8 hours to wait to be heard later on, if at all. Starting with item number 4. To say that there's 137 resolutions on there, including 13 in Baldwin, 22 in Roosevelt, and 9 in Uniondale. Again, I concur with the earlier speakers that we positively must do a better job in terms of preserving these households and also trying to keep the people in the homes. And I stand in support of those residents who have been here in support of the animal shelter day in, day out. And for those who know me in attendance here, my first and foremost priority is for our veterans who are still suffering, and they suffer in silence, many of them in some of these homes that are probably going to be demolished. We need to do a better job of that. And again, before anyone gets into the 400,000, I believe, from the budget that was discussed during that interesting process about having one full-time person and support staff. And again, I do want to commend those who are in the economic development and buildings arena for the work that they do as far as providing information and listings, but it's not enough. So I just want to, again, put that on record with regard to item 4. We need to preserve those homes. We need to preserve the opportunities for residents to be able to stay in their homes. And if anyone's been following the news, as I have, with regard to the hurricanes, particularly in the Caribbean islands, namely Puerto Rico, when we're getting thousands of residents from those communities who will be coming to New York. And I hope there will not be significantly targeted into minority communities, which have happened to a number of other students, where we've significant communities such as Hempstead and others that have been impacted with students that have come here without any resources. Item number 6, the special assessment in relation to the demolition, that ties to the same thing that I just spoke about, that we need to do something better, working with land grant processes within the county, within the state, federal government. I don't care where we get the money, we pay enough taxes here. We need to have our voices heard. I was disappointed that there was no additional discussion or opportunity to discuss the transitional funding abilities that Councilman Blakeman brought up. Again, folks are just shooting things down ad nauseum because they don't want to address those issues. It has been brought out earlier with regard to the interesting process that we now have, how people are getting increases and raises and put in protected classes because there's a new administration that's going to be coming in. But we just want everyone on notice sitting in front of me that you are being watched for what you do. And Councilman Dunn, I am just so pleased with your input today because I really haven't seen it. But I'm pleased, okay? Just wanted to throw you that compliment. Item 21, awarding purchase contract. Again, the call for contract review. I am urging residents, those in the sound of my voice or who can see me, I urge you to participate in this process. Be on board December 12th because that's when you're going to have the hearing, I see that's in this notification, that's going to discuss the mass mailings, the Inspector General, and the ethical standards. And those 3 items in particular, I believe, help to turn the tide in the election process in the town of Hempstead and the county of Nassau, but we have to continue to be vigilant in those areas. Item 24, authorizing payment of invoice for continuation of maintenance and support services. Again, I'm noticing there's a number of different companies that are being listed on this format. I'm hoping that people who have being moved out of positions here, possibly on this board, will not all of a sudden become consultants and get major contracts with companies that all of a sudden will be doing business with the town of Hempstead in the next 2 to 3 months. That includes item 38, 39, as well as 40, which has been discussed earlier. Item 42, and I know I'll be over my time.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, I need 1 additional minute. Resolution on item 42, authorizing the memorandum. What are the benchmarks with these programs? We continue to put these programs out there, make everybody feel good, but we're not monitoring what is actually happening with those programs, where our tax dollars are actually being spent. And lastly, my concern with regard to 47 and 45, problematic, particularly 47, when we're already talking about infrastructure and outfall pipes. If we're not already looking at the funding that we're supposed to be getting from the state and the funding that we already used up from the federal government, is 47 just another patch job that's going to be damaged by the time we get through our next winter? 50, 51, 57, and 58. Again, I just want to put it on record so that the public looks and they drill deep, as Felix Procacci, Diane Madden, and others are doing. Who are these companies? What are their connections?
We've gone a minute over, so we will move forward. Thank you very much for
Not a problem. Thank you so much. Looking forward to a new face in January. Bye.
Ms. Meriday, I would just like to acknowledge the presence of your mother, who I've known for, I hate to say it, over 50 years. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you, ma'am. Okay.
we have a
Because we're going to call we're down a council member. Could we get him, please? Not on an administrative matter, not on a particular calendar item. There'll be, you could speak on 17. On the administrative calendar. On item 17, which is about sprinklers.
Hello, how are you? Dominica Califano, Island Park, New York. Just want to speak about 17. They're going out for bid and contracts for a sprinkler system. How does that work?
Could we explain the bidding process, Mr. Town Attorney?
Specs for the irrigation system are prepared, and then they're advertised, and the low bidder, if he's the competent and responsible low bidder, will get the contract.
A low bidder, not there if they have experience.
I said if
Is
he's
it a
the
company?
competent, if the low bidder is not competent, then we would not hire that person. He's got to be the competent.
I believe the term of the law is the lowest qualified bidder. Is that
lowest qualified bidder, correct?
Is it a company from Island Park and an employee for the building department here?
National Lawn Sprinklers, Inc. is the company.
Mr. Supervisor, may I make a request with respect to going forward with the golf course? I think that before we spend money on the golf course, that we get a presentation by the Parks and Recreation Department on exactly where we stand financially, whether or not, when taking into account all the investment that we've had to make this year and the hiring of new employees and all of the issues revolving the transfer, what exactly was the financial outcome of taking over the golf course?
Councilman,
I think that would be very helpful.
you will certainly get that. The Parks Department will prepare that for all the members of the board. This item is on the calendar now. It's National Lawn Sprinklers, Inc.
They're located in White Plains, New York, and the contract is for $54,300.
How much was that for?
$54,300.
And is it any possible way that I'm able to see the other contracts that would put in for bid? 'Cause I know I asked for a lot of things from your office. I haven't received anything.
Ask the Parks Department has it.
And they would,
Wait, hold on
okay.
a second.
There's one other thing, could I say,
There was one other
please?
bidder for $59,700, L&M Specialty Company from
What was that, please?
L&M Specialty Company from Ronkonkoma.
Ronkonkoma? And how much was their bid?
$59,770. All of this is on our website, by the way.
15, it is on the website? Because I
All of
wasn't
this
able
is
to pull
posted,
it up.
yep.
On what site is it on? Town of Hempstead?
Yes.
Contracts?
It's if you go to the Town of Hempstead, the Town Board calendar.
Okay. Could I say something else?
On the administrative calendar, you can, sure.
Is it possible to,
Which item on the calendar that we're talking about?
I'm just talking in general about
No.
passing any hiring and promotions?
No, in general, that would be
Law
for
and
that would be for the miscellaneous part of the meeting later on today. Okay?
Got it. No reason to
We're
raise.
going to maintain order, okay? So, now at this point, then, I will go forward with respect to the items that have not been severed. So there are, just so we're all clear, the items that have been severed by board members are, unless I am incorrect, they are item number 11, 15, and then the last three, 67, 68, and 69. So absent those, we already have a motion and a second, so please call the roll.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye on all items except 53, on which I recuse myself.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
I will abstain from voting on the following resolution items of the administrative calendar: 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 37, 30, 37, 38, 39, 48, 50, 51, and 57. These items involve the expenditure of Hempstead Town funds, and I believe that we must have comprehensive ethics reform in the Town Inspector General to ensure that we have a contracting process that's open, transparent, and safeguarded against corruption or malfeasance. I vote against items 17 and 40, and yes for the remaining ones.
Okay. Now, we will go to the severed items, and I believe Councilman Blakeman had questions relative to item number 11 and item number 15. So those questions are now in order. And I would say with respect to the, well, ask your questions, Councilman, if you would.
Okay, so with respect to item 11, I don't think there's sufficient information for me to vote on this item. I did have some relationship with this this contract as a private citizen about 7 years ago, so I'm not sure whether I had any dealings with this group at the time. So out of caution, I'm going to abstain from voting on that. With respect to item 15, could we explain, first of all, why the bid was rejected, but more importantly, I have never seen the plans for this park, although it's in my district. So I'd like to hear a little bit about the park.
Okay, Commissioner Zappola, if you would come and answer the councilman's
Can I just say, the resolution is to reject the sole bid because it came in over budget. We had an estimate as to what we thought the bid should come in at, and it came in over budget. So that's why, that's what this resolution does. Do you want me to repeat it? Did you?
Yes, Councilman Ambrosino was having a sidebar with me.
This resolution rejects the sole bid on the item because the amount of the bid came in higher than it was budgeted for. And so, since it's a sole bid and it came in higher, we're rejecting it, and the theory is to rebid the item. So this is solely to reject the bid. This has nothing to do with going forward.
But what were the plans for? What was the work that was to be entailed?
Well, I think, Commissioner Zappola, could you just give us, the councilman, a broad overview of that?
We have I'm going to say about a 3-acre parcel of property on Central Avenue that was given to us from the county over 10 years ago. In that, we were bound to build that park within 30 years. The money to build that park was coming from planning and development. They allotted us $677,000. We designed the park to fit in that figure, and it came in way over. So we're just canceling the bid. We're rejecting.
Okay, so when we acquired the property from the county, there was a requirement that we would put a park in?
Within 30 years.
We could put nothing else there? Right. Just a park? Right. Okay. Thank you. Then I have no problem with this.
Okay. Then I guess we'll call them individually, and then we'll go to the last three. So let's call item number 11, which is the LED lighting facilities. Would you, I need a resolution, I need a motion, please. Okay, let's do 11 and 15 together.
I'm going to recuse myself on 11, so.
So let's call them separately so the councilman can be recorded.
Well, he can still vote. I could just move the two, right?
Yeah, you can do.
Okay, I move a resolution number 11 and number 15.
On both of them. Okay, so now let's call them separately. Call number 11, please.
Number 11, resolution awarding formal bid for upgrade of LED lighting for facilities throughout the town.
Okay, call roll.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
I recuse myself.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
I abstain for the reason I just stated previously with the other votes.
Okay, item number 15, it's been moved and seconded. This is rejecting the sole bid and authorizing a rebid for the construction of Central Avenue Park. Call the roll, please.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Abstain.
Okay. Now, the last three items are resolutions calling public hearings. So we're not dealing with the merits of the items involved. We are just dealing with calling a public hearing. So that would be calling a public hearing on ethical standards, calling a public hearing on mass mailing restrictions, and calling a public hearing on the Office of Inspector General. And again, the question before us is to hold the public hearing on December the 12th or not.
And I'd like to make a motion to amend each of these three resolutions. Can I do that now, Mr. Roth? I would like each of these resolutions to be amended to call for a January 9th hearing date to allow time for the Supervisor-elect Gillen to participate in the process.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Supervisor Santino.
Are we going to do that? Can we do that?
Well, it's in. No. It's been moved. It's been moved and seconded.
Okay, what about January 8th? Put that in?
What's that?
January 8th.
Okay, Mr. Procacci, it's appropriate.
Okay. I thought we had the date January 8th.
Do I do all three at the same time? They're all on the table now?
What's that? Go ahead,
All
please.
three on the table right now, or just one?
Well, the councilwoman has moved to change the date on each one of them, so they're together at this point.
Okay, Felix Procacci, 1165 Barn Street, Franklin Square, New York. I also, I really want this to be pushed back even further past January 9th, because I feel that on each of these items, they have, I don't want to get into the details, it's not really relevant, but I think that they need to be presented to the communities, what they mean, because there's, I believe, items within this that need to be added to these resolutions and needs to be discussed before, so it's more of a final form when we get to a hearing, as opposed to right now. I think they're more like rough drafts. I read them last night. I had a number of questions on them. Of course, I'm not going to address those, but it's the reason to push them back so we can get more community input on this and get the new supervisor up to speed on all this, what they should be included in these resolutions. So, past January, maybe into February meeting or something, but maybe a date to be named later. So that's my input on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else on the change of date? Okay. Please call the roll on the change of date.
Supervisor Santino.
No.
Councilman Ambrosino. No. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito.
No.
Councilman Dunn.
No.
Councilwoman Gooseby.
What I want to say. I'm not going to vote.
So that's an abstention from the senior council. Okay. Okay.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay. Now, calling the matters 67, 68, 69 as presented on the calendar for December the 12th. Call the roll, please.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby.
Abstaining.
Councilwoman King Sweeney.
Aye.
Okay. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn the formal part of the meeting, I do want to publicly and for the record direct the town attorney to please contact the incoming supervisor and or her representative relative to ensuring a smooth transition, up to and including the hiring of staff prior to her taking office to assist her with the transition, because I think it is absolutely in the best interests of the residents of the town of Hempstead that the process be done orderly, but it must also be done in an appropriate and legal manner. And based on the advice given to me by the town attorney, the way to do that would be to through the regular process of hiring employees, provide the incoming supervisor with a number of staff to assist the transition. So I make that for the record. And now I will take a motion, please.
All right. I move that we take your suggestion then.
No, that's not, that's just a directive. This would be a motion to adjourn.
Oh, you want to adjourn? Okay, I move to adjourn.
Call the roll, please.
Supervisor Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Diaz-Bazino. Councilman Dunn. Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeting.
Aye.
Okay, now the board will take a 5-minute restroom break, and then we'll come back for public comment.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, boy. These meetings are meetings like this before. Sure.
You can reach out to Gold.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.